What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one, I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock and give you guys my price prediction for tomorrow based off what NIO is doing and based off some very important factors you need to know. I'm also going to talk about what's going on with the SPY, the overall market, and how this may actually affect NIO for the long-term future, for the short term, and also for tomorrow, because there is something very important with SPY that you need to look out for that's very important for NIO and the overall market and trading. Now, before I break anything down about what's going on with the NIO stock, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner, so don't take any of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire NIO community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100, you're guaranteed 10 free stocks, each worth up to $2,500. You could always sell these 10 free stocks for cash and use that cash to buy some NIO shares for free. This is a limited time offer. It ends today, so please check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So NIO is up about 1.23% for the day, and I did actually mention the fact that NIO is showing some signs of life, and it may actually respect a slight upward trend if the overall market does tend to allow that, and we are seeing some improvements in its price action. Now, when it comes to the overall market, there's something very important I want to talk about, and that's the fact that I did mention in my previous videos that the market is full of fake outs. The market likes to trick people, and I wanted to actually make that very clear for many investors, but that doesn't mean we don't have a little bit more room to potentially run up from here. So if we look at how the market reacted, all right, the SPY was at all-time highs back in January, and you could see the SPY took a big hit down here. The whole market took a hit going into the month of January. It was a pretty bad month of this year. Then it pushed up. A lot of people were thinking the market would go to all-time highs. We got another rejection. Then it pushed up again. It actually broke the highs from before during the month of, I think that was the end of March. SPY rallied to 462. People thought the market was going to break all-time highs. Then what happened is we got a rejection. The bears came back. They faked people out. They got them excited. They faked them out, and then boom, a big drop, huge drop from SPY. Something similar happened here. It pushed up a little bit temporarily, then another big drop. Since then, it's been rallying, and now a lot of people are becoming comfortable again. They're starting to think the market's going to go to all-time highs. The bear market is over. But the thing is, how could we be so sure? Now, could the market rally more from here? Yes, of course. The SPY has room to run, and the whole market does. So does NIO. But that does not mean that there won't be any more downside for the year. There won't be any more major drops. And I believe the bears are just trying to trick people. And that's why I mentioned this in my previous videos. I did see a potential for a downside, a big rejection later on. Now, as of right now, have we seen the rejection? You can see SPY is pushing up. It looks like it's going to continue to rally. And I want to actually talk about something very important. If you look at the EMAs on the daily chart, watch this carefully, because what's happening is the SPY is entering a key zone. If the SPY breaks this 200 EMA, this is typically the resistance level, that would be a very bullish signal. If the SPY could break 415, maybe hold 415, 416, hold this range going into the trading week, that would be very bullish. The whole market could actually rally a little bit more before the rejection coming later. But remember, even though, I think the SPY is going to be testing this range going into tomorrow, it's going to come very soon. Even though the SPY may have some room to run, we still have these gaps. You have to remember this. We have a gap. Let me actually use the 2-hour chart. Check this out. SPY has a gap down here, 406. Another gap down here, 391, 382, I believe. 370s, all the way down to the 360s. The SPY still has all these gaps. And to say that none of these gaps will ever get filled, the SPY is going to rally forever, is just nonsense in my opinion. I think it's more likely that eventually they will get filled. I'm not saying it's going to start, this week. It may take a couple of weeks as we have FOMC in September. And September is historically not the best month for the markets during election years, because we have an election year, right? We have midterms in the United States. So as we approach September, I do think we're going to start filling these gaps down here. Until then, we most likely have more room for SPY to push up just a little bit more. And if SPY breaks 415, that would be a very bullish signal. Now, what does this mean for NIO, right? Well, the SPY kind of represents what the market is collectively doing, and it tends to be correlated with the Nasdaq. If you look at Nasdaq, just real quick, the Nasdaq got a nice 1348 EMA cross on the daily, right? And it's also coming close to this EMA. It's not super far from it, but this the Nasdaq, it also has these gaps down here. Let me just show you. The Nasdaq has some gaps down here. It is going to come down eventually, in my opinion, right? And unfortunately, that is the truth, and that will affect the markets later. But for the short term, I still think this thing has more room, and we are going to see the Nasdaq actually push up above 12,500 very, very soon. So with that said, what does this mean for NIO? Well, the overall market is going to give NIO a bit of a boost. We have a slight falling wedge that was kind of forming, but I wouldn't be too confident this is going to lead to such a huge bullish move. I do think NIO has room for upside. And from my point of view, zooming into the time frame like this, you could see NIO it was basically trading sideways for the majority of the week. If I actually zoom out like this, you can see it was just trading sideways in this channel. And I predicted that NIO would actually kind of break above this, and I do think it has more room to continue to the upside, because now we're starting to respect a slight uptrend. This thing actually broke above the key resistance around that 19.5 range. We actually pushed up to 19.84. And if the overall market is continuing to rally, we're seeing things improving for a lot of Chinese stocks. That's going to be a good sign. NIO is most likely going to test the 20s, in my opinion. So the key range to look out for is that 20.17 to 20.82 range. We also have resistance at 20, so be prepared for that. So just to draw this out for you, just to make this as clear as possible, let me just draw this out real quick. So to make this as clear as possible, looking at NIO, I want to talk about what I think is going to play out for tomorrow. So tomorrow, what tends to happen in the markets is we get a nice move into open. So NIO might actually push to like the 20s. 20.17 is a key zone. And we might trade around 20, maybe test it as resistance for some time. But then we might get a break out of that, kind of like this. We might actually test 20.8 like that, and then kind of trade sideways from there in this range. I wouldn't be surprised if this happened. This is essentially what I'm predicting. And I do think we might get a close above $20. That would be a nice, healthy move from NIO. And the overall market, if it is continuing to be bullish, this could actually push NIO up temporarily. Now, I'm using the word temporarily because I believe that this move is not necessarily going to last forever for the markets. I still see some potential downside to come in the later weeks. But for the short term, I do think the market has more room to run. And I do think this is going to push NIO into the 20s very soon, as I mentioned previously. Now, with that said, there are other technical indicators I want to look at real quick before I make another big announcement. Looking right here at the 2-hour chart, right now we could see NIO was actually downtrending, trading sideways for some time, and we actually got this nice signal line MACD crossover and was starting to push up on the daily charts. Let me use the daily for this macro move. From a more macro perspective, the market's improving, and you could see how NIO is starting to get a nice curl right here. I want to see if we could get a nice crossover so we get some bullish momentum. RSI should pick up too, and we're on the verge. Let me see if I could actually hide my drawings. I apologize if they look kind of messy. There's a lot to dissect. All right, so we got a nice 1348 EMA crossover. NIO pushes up. We almost got a crossover down. Did we get that crossover down? I think we almost got it. But if we do end up getting it like that, that could lead to maybe some sideways action. Sometimes these crossovers happen and they could just switch in a second or like really quick. So I want to see if we get another crossover up again and we see this thing continue to push up from there. Once again, very possible. And especially on the shorter time frames, like the 2-hour time frame, you could see we actually already got the crossover down. It's starting to almost flip from here on the 2-hour time frame, and we might actually see this thing push up to the 20s, maybe the low 20s zone pretty soon. Now, is NIO going to fill the gap up here quickly? It may take some time to fill the gap at 22.5. It is still possible for the short term, but other than that, I'm not super bullish for the long term for the next few months for the market. I do think there's going to be more downside. For the short term, for the next few weeks, I do think the market has room that may actually improve NIO's performance and push it up short term. With that out of the way, I want to talk about one more big announcement. And we can see right here, Investor Place released this article that says, Dear NIO stock fans, mark your calendars for August 25th. Shareholders will be able to vote on several proposals. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this tomorrow. Just something I want to remind you guys about this right now, especially many propositions to approve the company. With that said and done, for the short term, I gave you guys my prediction. I think NIO is going to touch the 20s very soon. I'm a little bit more bullish than bearish temporarily for the markets. But other than that, right, the short term and long term, or at least somewhat long term, don't matter that much. The super long term, going into 2023, 2024, that is what I'm in this play for. I see immense potential. I'm still very bullish. So give NIO the time it needs. And with that said and done, enjoy the rest of your weekends. Thank you. Have a good one. I'll see you guys in the next one. NIO to the moon and peace out.